Hello, welcome to another weekly live stream. Tonight we're going to be working on some like map generation stuff because I have some things I want to get done for a upcoming release. So it'll be a chance if we want to talk about how the generation works and stuff, but I'm going to try to be creating a little test harness so I can play with some world generation stuff without running the whole game. So anyway, before we get started, let's go ahead and pull this up and raise a glass to the patrons that are helping keep my servers running and my lights on and so on and so forth, metaphorically speaking. And then we'll go ahead and get started with what I want to do today. So I've been playing with name generation, which is kind of cool. I had first done it for people names, and so like I found a database of, where is it? Yeah, I found a database of a whole bunch of like names that I split into like male and female names, and then you can it splits it up into tokens, which we can talk about a little bit if you want. Though it appears no one's on. YouTube's lying to me, I think. But it reads a bunch of training data, which is like a database of names from different countries, and then can use that to like spit out random names of random lengths and so on and so forth. And so I'm going to incorporate this, and I thought, hey, maybe I can use this to generate place names too. And so I can train it on different place names in the world. Like, so if we take where's the one that I want? I guess I have to go scroll down back here. So if I want to go, let's see, Great Britain. So like place names in Great Britain, and then it will like ingest all that, train itself, and at this point, I'm like I can save data sets that I like, and so then it generates these and they look very Englishy, So anyway, I figure in the world I will build a couple different training sets for different styles of location name, and then using sort of zones on the map, we'll pick which of the training sets to use for place names, so that areas of the world will have like distinct character, and there'll be during the overlap, it may flip back and forth between, and eventually this will be for naming forests and deserts and things like that too. The other problem I wanted to solve before I want to put out another release that's kind of a performance release, because I don't know about, but for me it bugs me that the first impression a player gets of the game is that when they create the world and they create their character and then they jump into the game, there's like this period where it's all really laggy and while it's generating the far terrain and things like that. So one of my goals is to lower the initial load time once playing. So yeah, so I can talk about that. So so name generation, we can talk a little bit about that. So what it does is, so it takes a word like I'm trying to think of a good strip. Like so example word strip. So it breaks it up. Actually, let me yeah, that's fine. So it breaks it up into clusters of vowels, consonants, and special characters. So that would get broken up into, start, and then a cluster str, then a cluster I, then a cluster P, and then it uses what I guess kind of like a variation on Markov chains, where it takes groups of 3 and then builds like a graph of anything that starts with these 3, and then builds like a list of possible following clusters and how often they occur. So if you had another example word like strict that starts the same, so we get like instead of this we get CT. So then we would end up with an like a well, what we did actually end up with, we ended up with a pair like this that says, so we'd end up with a pair like this that says your next ones can be I, and we've got one of those, right? And then you'll get another one that says STRI, and from that we've got P is an example, and we've got one of those, and CT is another example, we've got one of those. And so from this, I can then randomly pick a start. You know, in this case there is only STR, so it would randomly pick STR, and then randomly pick one of the following characters, and can continue on like that, you know, for longer and longer words. The neat thing is even with like surprisingly little data, like I trained it on, like I have a list of like the 149 characters in The Lord of the Rings. Let me see, what is this called? Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so let me actually show you what that looks like. So it's just literally just a list of the 149 characters or whatever. What is it? What did it turn out to be in the end? Oops. Yeah, 150 characters, and you know, even some of the crazy ones I've left in, like it's got Witch King in there. So, but this is not a very it's not a very varied data set, and so it's no, where am I going? This one, yeah. So, so it will often spit out. Randomly, it could spit out the original names anyway, but this one will quite frequently do so. Well, let me run it real quick. So yeah, so it spits out like Hobbin and Imrahil and Damrod. They sound very Lords of the Ringy, and it still manages to generate random names from that, even though I only trained it on 150 names. Yeah, product brand. That's funny. Oh no, Froduck brand. Yeah. So anyway, it does a pretty decent job even on a limited training set. So in theory, I could even like take all the names in the world kind of thing, generate, you know, 10,000 names, and then even like edit that to like edit out all the bad names, and then retrain it on just those names and things, and it'll generate pretty good stuff. And so the reason that like I have spaces and things that I do special characters is because for place names and even some people names, it's quite frequent to have, you know, spaces and dashes and stuff, and so those will get separated in different clusters as well. And then, you know, so I like randomly pick how many clusters I want, and the max. And sometimes it'll have to go above the max because it'll get like to a certain point, and there's no like, it keeps track of also that the end, and so it knows what tokens can end a word, what clusters can end a word. And so if it gets to the maximum of 8, and it can't end the word, it will try to randomly add some more until it can find a token that it can terminate on. So anyway, that's that. Yay, gold medal. So that's that. We can talk more about that if you want, but it's pretty cool. And so I think I'm gonna be able to do a lot with that. And so, okay, so back to why we're here today, though. One of my goals is to lower the initial load time, you know, once playing, and I can do that two ways. Can do that two ways. One, I can do more preloading before even allowing character creation. So yeah, I mean, it's because it's doing triples, it's sort of guaranteed to always put vowel consonant vowel or consonant vowel consonant pairs together that are pronounceable, because they existed in a real word somewhere. I also think it's really cool how it gets definitely the style of the like even in the place names, it gets the style of the place names. If we switch over to like Japanese place names, which there are a lot of, and so it's going to take it a bit. So like Japanese place names, we get very Japanese sounding random place names. You know, I don't know if you guys can see those in your. Yeah, so there's one that failed. So we'll. But I can put them in here and make them big real quick, so you guys can see them a little better. So there was no root branches, so it had to cut this one short because it couldn't figure out how to go from there. But these look very, you know, foreign, of a particular bent that a different training set would give you foreign of a different particular bent. So I like that. And I may end up, some of the data sets are really small when they're for sets of islands and things like that. And to kind of help break up, like these definitely, to me, without knowing anything about Japanese, these look Japanese to me, and I would rather they look foreign but not specifically foreign in Mythruna. So I may mix training sets in a way, but I do like the idea of having different, like maybe, you know, 10 or 12 different you know, name generation training sets for place names, and then, you know, mixing them through the world based on, you know, geospatial location, proximity, and so on. I like that idea that certain parts of the world would have a sort of feel to them, and, you know, maybe later on that can factor in sort of the history of that area where those names came from. So anyway, we're familiar with. I'll show you what I mean. Right. I just feel like I'm trying to build a new website, encourage new players to play, and I don't really want their first experience to be that when they first join the game, it's like unplayable for 30 seconds or whatever, or a minute. So let's make a new world. So here we can create a new world, and let me show slow. So let's use today's date, 2025/08/22. We'll create a preview. Oh, cool. We're going to be like right in the middle of Ice Island. That's why it's blue there. It's a little bit of desert off way over here. But again, this is like 65 kilometers or something. So this is really far away from start. Anyway, this is kind of like the area we'll start in. So first place I could probably add more time is it doesn't take very long to generate a world. I could probably do more pre-creation here. This is the loading that it does for every world, where it's basically loading the scripts and things. And so this is going to be what it is, right? And one of the things I want to, so you could have regional particle sets just not connected to a specific Earth region. Right, exactly. So already in the background, it is loading, it is pre-generating the world. If we stayed in here long enough, when we join the world, it'll essentially be infinite. But so one of the things I could do is for a new world, I could do more preloading before we got here. The other place, so that was what I was saying here. I can do more preloading. The other place I can do is make character creation more complicated, interesting. So the idea being right now, you create a character if it's your first time in. You might go through here and you might read about the different races. Eventually there'll be more races, more things to read. But then you say, yeah, okay, I want to be a female or whatever. And you can spend a little time customizing your character. So one thing I'm going to do is put little, there'll be a first name and a last name and little random buttons so you can use the new name generation to generate your character's name. And you know, there's very little you can set here right now. Eventually there will be more. One of the things I want to incorporate, even back as far as, you know, this screen or before, is to tell you lore about the world. Like, are you being dropped into ice plains? Are you being dropped into a desert? You know, are there big forests nearby? Is it a jungle? You know, I like to be able to like give you little hints about the world you're about to join, maybe with the names of nearby cities and things, you know. And so I would need to generate more before we get to this screen even to do that. But here we could, you know, let you have a little more time playing with your name. And the other thing I think I want to do is right now there's a bunch of default stuff, but I think I want to change this to be like 2 drop downs where you can pick, basic boots and then pick a material from a set of materials. Just like with when I randomize NPCs, I can rematerial things. That's why random NPCs have all kinds of different clothes that you can't actually pick here. But like right now, if you wanted to put on, the pants with the belt, it's always going to be this dark blue. Or if you wanted to put on, what is the basic pants, they're always going to be that light blue. And so I thought if I give the player a little bit more time to like customize their character and figure out, sort of the coloring of their clothes and a little more customization, then it makes them spend more time in here. And you can see that all that's being generated. And I also want to include like a world progress thing down here. And so then if you were to save and continue, you can jump in and you can play. It is still generating the world down there, so so we really haven't spent enough time in, but apparently enough that we can just jump right into the world. Sort of. Yeah, so it's still generating stuff in the background. It wasn't able to get ahead of us while we were messing in the character generator. Part of that's because I'm on a live stream too. But, and maybe your experience is different than mine because of the way I run the game. But the thing I want to avoid, or at least give the player something to read or do in this area here. Hold on. See, like right now, I can't even look around. Right? There's this big long pause that normally does not happen when you're joining a world that's already been created, because we're still generating far terrain back there. So, like this to me is not a great experience for a first time player. Like I'm looking around, nothing's happening, it's not telling me anything. I get barely any progress. So this is what I'm trying to figure, the first time user experience, I'm trying to improve that. Yeah, in fact, I should be seeing something by now, really. So it's a little concerning too. So I also may need to change the order that things are preloaded. Yeah, see, the other thing is I had to up the thread count because I think there's a thread lock in there. Yeah, according to YouTube, my stream is paused, so apologize for that. But I had to up the thread count because I only have 4 CPUs on this system, and so this is really taxing my rig to run the live stream and try to generate this game. Yeah, this is to me this is unacceptable. And so I need to be able to lower that thread count back down for my particular 4 CPU situation, number 1. And wow, we are really... Yeah, I actually think this is a bug at this point. Yeah, because I think we've got the full world loaded in, and something happened and I'm just never going to... So this is something I have to work on, right? Because this is like not a good experience. So if we left the world... But in my opinion, I have to make this rock solid. Yeah, we've still got the... yeah, it never finished. I can see in the upper bit of the thing, it's still running the portal thing. Yeah, see? This was never closed. So some bug happened, and it never got rid of the portal blindness, never put up the message, nothing. So this is the experience I'm looking forward to doing better. Yeah, and see, it's even taking me back to my previous world. But, contrary to that, and I'm going to real quickly save this log off. copy Mythruna client.log to never loaded.log. So, hey, I hope YouTube is back. Are you guys able to see me? YouTube says no. Let me see what the live stream looks like. I mean, it says it's doing it. I'm seeing myself in the live stream. So, alright. I'm going to assume you guys can catch up eventually. But if you guys are in the chat and still seeing stuff, let me know. But anyway, if we go back to single player and we say, yeah, I want to go back to that world, which was 2025. Oh, did it like not even save it? Oh, I called it show slow. That's right. My concurrent viewers is going down. I hope I haven't lost you all. Yeah, the thing is, because of the way I capped the thread count, I can't even lower it more just during the live stream without modifying code. Right, so we created a character before, and it should go better this time. It's just that initial load that's a problem. So I want to juggle the order things are loaded a bit to make that a better experience. Hopefully it actually works this time. Yeah. Seems to be. But see, that you are experiencing portal blindness should have popped up right away. So something in the startup sequence messed up. And I would have expected the local world to load much faster, but anyway. So anyway, we're on like an ice island. But see, this was, I would say that's like minimum tolerable, that load right there. That's sort of the goal of what I want to achieve. Oh, we've got a skull head facing in the wrong direction right next to spawn. That's kind of cool. So I need to tweak the startup, and I need to play with the order things are initialized during world generation, and that's why I wanted to create a little test harness to see what loads when and how long each of the things takes and how thread intensive they are, which I can reorder to happen before. Actually, this is not a bad positioning, to be honest. So we can go in here and yeah, so the eyes up there. So anyway, yep, so we're on an ice island, and in the middle of some cool mesas, plateaus. Hopefully you guys are still seeing what I'm doing here. Yeah, so there's some cool plateaus and stuff over there. Oh, it looks like there's some maybe desert or snow off in that distance. I can't tell from here. But anyway, that's the goal. And so so the third way is so make character creation more complicated, interesting. Make initial world loading less annoying once in the world. So those are my goals, right? And so to do that, I want to have a sort of groovy scriptable. It's going to be groovy scriptable full world manager loading. What else? maybe some visualization, mostly logging lore as we learn about the world to see how soon we know certain things, time it all. So that's the goal. Yeah, see, my CPU shows that just 35% is just maintaining the live stream. And so, yeah, so you guys are, it says that I'm still broadcasting. So I got that going for me. So I was going to try to see, I could start out with possible solutions. One, could start out with a custom tool harness like I use for like for Shaper, Blockhead, etc., or reuse existing scripter tool. I have to see if because we have loaded the full world in like Blockhead and stuff before, so Blockhead apparently had the dependencies set up to load actual Mythruna classes and use Mythruna game logic and stuff. So I'm thinking that may be the way, but something like that may be the way to go. Without a custom tool harness would easily take up, you know, minimum a half hour, maybe 45 minutes of this live stream. Yes, it would be educational, I'm sure. But I think if we just reuse the existing scripter tool, we might just be able to get up and running super fast. If there is interest in doing a custom tool harness for a sort of map generation test harness front end, you know, just let me know in the chat or comments, and that could be something we do maybe next live stream, whereas I turn like what we do in this scripter tool. Could be that I get into it and I can't use the scripting tool. Anyway, so we could end up back with this tool harness anyway. But let's see how far we can get. I think scripter is set up already with tool runtime. Tool runtime has Mythruna core and the block sets and everything. So I think we should be okay to get started without having to track down you know, dependency management and such. And just so that puts us in this scripter config. We're going to make a new directory, and yeah, so I've got to add another one of these here, because there's no way to comment things out in JSON, so I ended up just setting it to something that's not real, that's also not a duplicate. Oh, that is a duplicate, so I need to make sure these actually what I should just do is you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it'll look a little better and it's easier to type. Alright, so we'll set a new project or scripter, and we'll call this world gen. Alright, and so then in here we need to make world gen. And what was the most recent one we did? Was materials, I think. I just want to see what I did. Yeah, so no, that's not the most recent. There's already one that does something with the map. See, the thing is, I thought I built mods into this. No, What did I build the mod support into then? Oh, it was the rigger tool. That's okay. We can get pretty far this way. I just like the ability to have dependencies and stuff. So we will go into world gen and we will make world gen test.groovy. Delete, delete, delete. And let's see what, if anything, we're required to do. So I don't think anything. Yeah, so we can use this for like hacks on how to be reloadable and so on. Yeah, so let's just see what happens if we run this on its own. Boy, YouTube is still unhappy with my, oh. YouTube's still unhappy with my bandwidth. What does OBS say about my bandwidth? OBS isn't saying anything bad about bandwidth. If anybody is still on the chat, can you let me know that their things are still working? Yeah, so we get just a basic startup tab will take me in where I can fly around. We're probably not going to use the 3D aspects of this, but we have it if we need it. I'm probably going to make 2D maps and things at some point, actual. But we have it if we want it. I could turn this grid off. We could do something with it if we want to. 5x5, cool. Yeah, in fact, YouTube has finally stopped yelling at me. So what I want to do is start up the world generator. And I found a place, yeah, here, where we were using the world generator to load things into Blockhead, like areas of the map and stuff. So yeah, so that's the old way. This is the new way to set up the world. And wow, it sets up everything by hand. That's unfortunate. Oh, I think it does this so that it can stick things in there. I don't necessarily need to do that. Why did we do all that? I think it was so that we could customize. Yeah. I hate that about YouTube, that the delay is so long. It's rather unfortunate. And there appears to be no way I can fix it without lowering the quality of the overall visuals, which are already, I think I've already configured them to be relatively low. Yeah, I'm at low latency already. I could do the ultra low latency, but I'm not sure if you guys would even still be able to read the text and stuff. So maybe something we experiment with a non-weekly live stream sometime just to do as a test. So the old way, I think I just did it. And the new way, I only did so that we could have control over the generation. So this will be good reference, but I think for now, I just want to steal all this stuff just to avoid problems later. Just, man, I get really used to the script setup that's built into the game for writing game scripts already has the imports, a lot of the default imports done. I get used to it. I don't think we're going to need all of this for now. And I don't think we're going to need all of... We'll need this. And we might need town, now that I think about it. Alright, so... trying to how I wanted this to be reloadable. We do want some kind of... we're going to be able to close the old world if we reload. So we're going to have world. So if we have a variable called world, or world manager, then we want to, I think it's terminate or close. Close. So we'll make sure to close it. So if we already have one, otherwise we will create one. And we will make a I think scripter world gen worlds directory for our worlds. Call this test1 default fractal, and we'll use the same one we were just testing with just for fun. And we'll do that. Let's see if this blows up. It does. Something is unhappy. Oh, frick. So we're missing some dependencies. Let me, so already we're in a bit of dependency hell. So let me see tool runtime. Okay. Alright, let's try again. I want to load first before we do this. Just want to have the tool running, make sure it reloads. Alright, so now we set this to true. And see if it loads. It does. Okay. So it created the world. It hasn't generated anything yet. I think for now, if the binding has the variable, we won't do anything. Otherwise, we'll create it. So if I reload now, it's not going to do anything. Oh, it did. Oh, I didn't set the binding. Ick. Okay, let me so I had to kill it because there's already stuff running in the background now, and it's being garbage. There's a weird situation with the script bindings that even if though it goes in the global bindings, it doesn't get set in the global bindings unless I physically set it. So Let me make sure that all of my Java processes are dead. All of the ones that need to be dead are dead anyway. This is... the other way I could do it is JPS, but JPS sometimes takes forever to run for some reason. So Java, good week. I had compared to the past few weeks, a rather relaxing week, so that was good. Last weekend, unfortunately, I ended up working day job work, and the only other stuff I got done was poking at that name generation stuff. Yeah, so everything's just Gradle daemon. Okay, so we can run the scripter. I wanted to make sure there wasn't, heavy process hanging around. Okay, so it's loading the world and all the things. And if I resave this script, it should just, reload. Okay, cool. So now we can like poke at the world and see stuff. And so one of the first things I want to do is, what do I want to do? I want to access the Seductile manager. Wonder where my, I think it's this tab crash. My whiteboard. So we could talk about world structure again as a review. And we could also pull up this. Boy, I'm really hammering my poor computer. So each of these grids on this particular map is a 1024 by 1024 meter square of the world. So you can think of these as what I call a Mythruna kilometer, right? It's like a little over a kilometer. And so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, part of a 14. So 16 wide would be what I call a seductile, for lack of a better word. A hex, like a 16 by 16 of these big tiles is called a seductile, and that's the level at which the towns and stuff are generated. And usually, like when you load the world, I think it loads a 5 by 5 seductile area. So 80 kilometers by 80 kilometers area. Yeah, so we got this loaded now. Good. So if these are the little map. Oh yeah, it always turns my thing off. So you've got all the little 32 by 32 actual stuff, and then you got these big tiles, and then 16 by 16 of those is an even bigger tile, and that's the level that it generates the towns and the points of interest and the caves and stuff, because caves can cross these boundaries, and towns too, and so on. Eventually forests and stuff will be promoted up to that level too, but anyway. So I want to be able to ask the right now the fractal has been initialized, but nothing has been loaded. There's literally nothing in that directory. We should have a scripter world gen. It should have made the directory worlds. Oops. Test world 1. So it's got like the database and the entities database, but no actual world information yet. It hasn't generated any seductiles, any 1024 by 1024 tiles, none of that stuff. So we can play with all of that here. And that's what I want to figure out, how to get the seductile manager to ask it questions. And so I have to remember how I wrote my code. The only advantage here I have over others is that I wrote it. Otherwise, I'm just as lost as the rest of you. So yeah, I can get at this directly. I think we, from the world manager, the world manager manages all the things, right, that generate the world. Yeah, so the seductile manager, tile manager, effects, I'm going to grab... Yeah, like we haven't even initialized the mods. So yeah, even before I initialize the scripts, I'm pretty sure the mod manager has not been initialized. Actually, I can check. Is it really rigor? Oh, like, did I keep the name the same? Yeah, so that's where we're tail. Yeah, so we're writing to a log called rigor. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So if I grep mod rigor.log, yeah, it loaded them but did not initialize them. So no scripts are running. So that's one of the things that when you say, like, when it starts like initializing modules or whatever, that's where it's like loading all of the groovy scripts and stuff. And so we haven't even done that. And so like I want to see how far. So technically that's a problem because the world module, the scripts should be able to affect the world generation, and they can't currently. But right now that's actually useful because I can see how much I can load of a world before I even initialize the scripts, which means I could do it right after you click that create world button. Before I even load the scripts and stuff, I could have generated the sedactyls and stuff, and already before you go into character creation, then I would know what the world looked like in general terms. So I just wanted to like keep track of these so I didn't have to constantly be heading over there for... I don't care about these. Okay, so... Sedactyl manager. Now I have to look up what I want to do on that guy. I want to... We can get a sedactyl. First, let me log what the spawn is. I think that's what it is. Nope. Oh. Oh, I didn't set that as a frick. Can I get it off the world manager? No such probably world info for class world manager. Okay. I thought for sure we could get the world info. Get info. Important safety note, kids. Name your methods the same as the return type. Almost always it's better. When you've got something like this. Yes, it's easier to type get info, but it's going to screw with you for the rest of your life. And in here, I got screwed. Okay, so no surprise spawn location. So world info is called something else. And is world info, it is, okay. Get spawn point. Also, come up with like specific names and then stick to them. Like I've got spawn position, spawn location, spawn point, and it's very annoying. Okay, so yes, we have a spawn position. So from the spawn, we can get a sedactyl ID, center ID, sedactyl ID from world. Log info center ID, center ID. Boink. Okay, so we got a center ID. From there, we can say center tile equals sedactyl manager. Let's just get sedactyl. So we get the ID. center ID true, and let's time it. Log end equals system nano time. In fact, I'm going to do myself a favor up here. And then log info. String format total time percent 0.03f milliseconds end minus start divided by 123.123.0. Doink. Oopsie. Unexpected token at line 45. Oh yeah, because I didn't close my thing. So there we go. Okay, so it's loading that, it's creating the caves and stuff for the either 3x3 tiles or 5x5 tiles. I can't remember. We ought to be able to look when we're done in the CD world gen. Oh, scripter world gen worlds. So we can do Durl Tad Dil B. What do I call them? Look at all the stuff it generated already. Exciting stuff. Look at all those points of interest. But what are the tiles called? So it generated. Yeah, so star.sedectile. Star.sedectile /s. So it generated 25 of them. Yeah, so 5x5 area of the world it generated. So yeah, 80 kilometers, right? 16 times 5 is 80, right? So 80 kilometers, 80 square kilometers, 80 by 80 kilometers, which is considerably more than 80 square kilometers. And so now we should be able to ask the world about things. And how long did it take? It took 20 seconds. See, I think that would be reasonable to have done before for a new world. If like when you first hit create, if it took an extra 20 seconds but give you a little progress indicator, I think that would be fine. See, when I run again, it's not gonna take it's instant because we've already written all that stuff. So I captured the total time. So yeah, I could move that to right after the create before we even initialize the scripts and stuff. If not, I could move it to right after I initialize the scripts if I eventually want to control world generation using scripts. So that's good news. And let's see what we can ask the tile about itself. I think the sedectile gives us sedectile data, which lets us that's like a rough version of the terrain. It has features, so we could get all of the feature IDs for a particular feature type. What if I just want all of the feature IDs, regardless of type? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I can... Have I defined these types? Yeah, see, I have some generators that aren't even hooked up yet. So I think test poi generator is the one that creates the, so points of interest is what we're interested in. And I believe so center tile get feature feature IDs. Oh, we got to go tile by tile. Can Select Tile Manager give me more? I got a feature registry. The feature registry lets me load a particular feature for the ID. Okay, so let us so a Sedectile, again, we talked about, has 16 by 16 tiles in it. That's what these tile IDs are. So let's do center origin equals center ID get world null, and then for int x equals 0, x is less than 16, oops, x plus plus. So let's call this I, especially since that's what my fingers already wanted to do. J is less than 16, so we're going to go through all 16 by 16 tiles. Def tile ID equals tile ID from world center origin dot add 16 times I, no, 1024 times I, 0, and then 1024 times j, right? Because the center origin is going to be the upper corner of that 16 by 16 area. We load them all, and I should be able to just confirm I like to check my math. So what I'm going to confirm is that the tile ID, that it's Sedectile ID, which I think is the parent ID, is just the same for all of them. Oops, maybe not. This is probably parent ID. Since we got to go into the open source code. Tile ID, right? Yeah. It is true. Ah, no, I am. Huh. I didn't know. I thought Sedectile ID was a. Oh, okay, cool. So Sedectile data is Mythruna specific, but the idea of a Sedectile ID is part of the open source stuff. It's neat. And no doubt more stuff will move over to open source as I figure out where I want to draw the boundaries. Sometimes it's just easier for me to write it in one place versus the other because it's nearby. So these should all be the same tile. I just wanted to make sure I had the math right. Yeah, so these are all in the same Sedectile, different tiles. We're cool. We good. We good. And so from there, we can say center tile get feature IDs, tile ID, and then the feature type is too many files. Too many files. Feature, I think, is over here in town. Point of interest, is it a feature? It is. Okay, so point of interest, and I will need town. I don't know if that was the import. It's the import I kept. Okay, so point of interest dot class each, and then there'll be a ton of them. Right, there's going to be a lot of them. Oh, not that many. Not as many as I thought. Oh yeah, we got the ID, but not, okay. Now we need to actually load the poi. We can't do it from the Sedectile, but we can do it from the feature registry, which is available on the Sedectile manager, correct? Yes. But we will be smart and just get it once. So we will say up here, features equals world manager Sedectile manager dot feature registry. Right? Oops. What did I spell wrong? Is it just features? That's classic me. Yep. Classic me. It is a better name, to be honest. Poi equals features dot get feature poi. Feature registry get. It wants the type too. Even though the ID has the type. So the reason I do that is because then the generic stuff. Look, in Java it's easier. Even though it's redundant because the ID already knows what type it is. In Java, it lets me return things as a specific type without casting. So now we can see what all of those pois are. I'm getting tangled in my cable. Okay, so we've got lots of stuff, farms and towns and whatnot. So we can learn a lot about this particular world without having even generated anything. Like 20 seconds of world generation, we can already know where all the towns are, what their names are. Should be. They should be named. I think so. Let's play. What did the dev code in? The dev be coding lots of stuff. So let's ignore everything but the towns for now. If poi, what's it called? Type is not equal to town. Return. We're not interested. So let's do it all again. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got lots of towns. So let's just collect all the towns. And they might actually be duplicates. Visited. They can cross tiles. So if visited dot add. Oh crap. It return if not visited add. So basically we'll only do the first ones we encounter. And we can get rid of this and this. Towns add poi. So now we come down here, towns.each, log info found towns, town, log info town. Let's call it. Let's do poi in case I want to use the. Alright, let's see what that does. So yep, we got our little town. So we've got found towns, found town size, towns. Boink. Found 11 towns. Just make our logs easier to see. Okay, so we got all those towns. We know their location and their size. How do I get their names? This may be the part that's not generated yet. We can actually look because this is where they're generated. And so if we look for town colon, oops, no. So then let's check. Oh yeah, I already had that open. Okay, so that's not where it's generated either. Dir or find dot dash name star.java xargs grep town colon. So if we look that, we can find out where I set those names. Because that'd be one place I want to insert name generation. That's disconcerting. Do I do it in Groovy? That'd be a problem. Nope. I'm stumped. I truly am stumped. So how do I set those names? Name. Oh, that's why. Okay, I set it right here. So the marker ID find the entity of that type at that position. So we want to have a similar method for ourselves so we can find the entity associated with that. So the problem is that the there's no the chicken egg problem, right? The poi is generated before we create the entity, and so we don't store the we don't store the ID of the poi of the entity ID. We don't store the entity ID on the poi itself. So let's say find entity equals, and we want to say type position. And let's make them. Let's save me some trouble later by preventing mistakes. Did I import math? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, so we already know the tile ID, but that's okay. I think I could just steal all of this directly. I'm gonna unindent it while I read. Yeah. Probably have to import more to get map marker. Why did I get the whole entities? why not just find entities? Yeah, why do I load the whole entity set? Oh, because I've already got to get the spawn position anyway. That's why. It's just a very expensive way to load things. But it's because I have to find the spawn position already. Yeah, it doesn't like a lot of that. Yeah, map marker. We're gonna need all this stuff. Okay, spawn position. I can never remember the package for spawn position. It's in the open source stuff, so yeah, here it is. Alrighty. So I'm going to import that up here. Yeah, it's part of the physics layer, the entity physics. Okay, cool. Alright, so now I think it's town poi dot. We can go find out. So the type is the poi type name. Poi type being okay. It must be town though because we're using it in the colon marker ID. So, and then this is the. Yeah, that's interesting. We add the spread. What is spread? What do you mean by with harness? I don't understand this word. Maybe like a test bed, software that I can write that like a test bench, maybe, where I can poke at the world generation and try different things without like loading the whole game, and I can test specific stuff out. So right now this is our test harness. We're not doing anything visually right now. I'm just using the scripting capability of this particular tool. So I'm trying to see what information I have available before I start generating any actual world terrain at the moment. As you missed earlier, but I'm trying to solve the problem of that the initial load time when you're playing a new world is really obnoxious. It's really awful for a new player. So I'm trying to improve the first impressions when you create your world for the first time. And so there's places that I can put world generation where it's less obvious and can be done in the background or can be part of a progress bar rather than making you do it while you're already in the world and everything's running slow and you can't move, and gives a really bad impression of the way the game is going to run when the world's done loading. So I want to try to preload a lot more stuff and spread that out. And so one of the ways is I'm trying to figure out what I can generate before I even put you into the character creation screen. Anyway, I don't know what spread is. Oh, Sedectile data spread. So this is because the poi type loc must be the Sedectile cell? No, that can't be right. Oh, it's the so when I generate I generate a low, very, very low res when I generate these giant 16 by 16 kilometer tiles, I generate a very, very low res version of the terrain just so that town generation knows whether it's in an ocean or near the coastline. And so that's what this is. These poi type location, these are all internal things. These aren't real. So actually this is set on the poi itself. I may not need to do this, because at some point we're going to create the point of interest would have a location already. Get location. Its location is going to be different, I think. Yeah, it's going to calculate the range, children min-max. And then the location is going to be in smack in the middle. So this might not work like I want. Except for the spawn position is going to be this. As they say, problematic. Oh, marker ID. Oh, we don't even have to do this. I do save the ID. This long ID. The ID of the point of interest is the entity ID. Well, that was a waste of 15, 20 minutes, right? We don't have to do this. Equals new entity ID poi dot ID. I think this works, and then we can just say log info name entity let's call it ED because that's what I do everywhere else. So we're going to set that ED equals world manager dot entity data dot get component entity ID name dot class. Let's see if that compiles. Oh, I'm missing a okay. Could not find constructor for entity ID. Oh. Does that work? Yeah. Check it out. Oh, we got their names. So, hey, good afternoon. After evening, early morning for some people. 10:18 here. Okay, so cool. We got the town names. We can learn a lot about the towns, where they are relative to spawn, and so on and so forth. Good, good, good. I want to see what the resolution of the data is that we get. So I may actually generate a low-res 3D version of the world as we loaded it. So yeah, for just that center tile. I think this could be cool. Yeah, so we can get like temperature, precipitation. Yeah, I must calculate C costs. Maybe. Oh, no, not yet used. So I'm not yet calculating regions and C costs. But that is really, regions is the thing I really miss, and I'm going to need that soon, because that's what's going to tell me, contiguous oceans, contiguous lakes, even when they cross tiles, and it's forests and deserts. I really want to know what those regions are so that so I can tell the NPCs where things are, so they can tell you where they are, that kind of thing. So if you say, where's the nearest big forest, it can tell you. So yeah, so between the size and the spread, yeah, but we don't necessarily need the spread. And XY is just directly out of the thing. Yeah, I really need to, yeah, C cost is what's going to give me, like, pathfinding to, or rivers, that's right, because it tells me how, anyway, tells me direction to the sea based on falling downhill kind of thing. Cool. And so from a sedectile, we can get the sedectile data. Yep. Okay. And from that, okay, first, let me do some JMonkey engine magic. In which case we're going to need import com.jme3.scene.star. That's what they are, right? Yeah, it must be. Probably math I'll want. And I'm going to steal some stuff from here. Coding in Java, lol. Nothing wrong with coding in Java. Don't be cutting on the Java. Java's my jam, man. And actually, this is groovy. This is Java++ in a way. Turns out I didn't need any of this. Okay, so let's make a if true. We're gonna make a mesh. Mesh equals new mesh. And I think we'll do it wireframe. So gotta go look at things. So we're gonna make a mesh initially that's just garbage so that we can see it on the screen. What I want to do is set the type. How do I set the type? Is it mesh type? Set mode, mesh mode. Of course, lines. Mesh, set mode, mesh mode, lines. Yay, still compiles. And then float equals no, let's not do it that way. Let's do it vert equals new equals I equals 0, I is less than 128, I plus plus, boink, boink, boink. Void, pretty good, very good coder. Hey, if we were doing this in C++ or whatever, I'd still be debugging the memory bugs from last year's code. One triangle per visible cube face, and just make the triangle twice as large and remove the excess of the faces through the fragment shader. I don't know that that actually saves you anything though, because you're going to render a lot more fragments just to throw them away. And your GPU can eat polygons for breakfast. Really, 2 triangles versus 1 triangle is not that big a deal. But fragments are really, fragments are going to be what kills you. That's why, like, if you have like a really complicated fragment shader and you zoom way in on it, so that's like the full screen, it's going to really slow down because it's doing all of the work. So I don't know that that's any better. All right, so we want to add verts. Add new vector 3f. We got to do this because JMonkey Engine's all float. So we'll just do I for now, 0, float j. Doink, doink, doink. Okay, so we've got a bunch of vertexes. Or vertices, if you want to sound fancy. True story, both are correct. Buffer utils is what I want to see. And so from here, we're going to create a float buffer. There we go. Def. No, there's a way I can do this from a whole list of them. Oh, yeah, okay. So def buffer equals verts dot to array buffer utils boink dot to verts dot to array new vector 3f 0. Create a 0 argument array so that it knows what to do, and it doesn't like that because I didn't import buffer utils. Just import all the things. I want all the things. Yeah, my shader instincts are sometimes not correct in the face of modern stuff, but I believe that your fragments are going to be more expensive than a couple extra vertex transforms and another polygon or another triangle. So, but like I still try to avoid if statements in my shaders, which apparently isn't a problem anymore, nor are square roots or anything, which used to be. I come from the days when a square root would kill your system. Alright, so mesh set buffer. What is what I want to do called? It's called set buffer, vertex buffer type. Vertex buffer, not buffer, buffer dot type dot position, right? Position, yep. And then we want to set, it's 3 components, and we can pass our float buffer. Yay, still happy. Update bound. Yay, geometry. New geometry. Geometry person. Map. I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map. Yeah, so that's not right anymore. We actually don't need this part of this. But we are going to want to figure out how to do this. Yeah. Do I have to generate a new world when a new build is out? No. You can keep playing your old worlds. In some, it should be compatible. Like that's the goal anyway. I keep running my same worlds over and over again. what you will miss out on though, sometimes when so for the next release, maybe there'll be new desert town generation, where it generates new buildings in the deserts and stuff like that. If you've already generated your towns in the deserts, then it won't replace those buildings. You'll still have the old style. But if you go to a new desert you've never been to before, it may swap in new buildings depending on how far in the generation process it was. So the only reason to start a new world is if you want new features that are randomly generated in air. And you could actually continue playing your existing world, but delete the world data, like the terrain data, and it would regenerate all that. Of course, it will also destroy any of the things you created, but all your entities would still be, all the block objects you've created would still be there, the NPCs and things would still be there. So it just depends on what you want to do. But yes, you can keep running with your existing world. And some new features will be there, right? It will have new block types and some new things. Sometimes if the creature scripts have been updated, the creature behavior will update. Okay, so we want, what did I do? Yeah, I hadn't added that yet, so I need to go up here and add that. So now I can add the model. We're going to need a material. Def mat equals new material. And I just commented that out. Asset manager, yeah. Comma mat defs. No, it's common blah 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 blah. I can never remember the name of the mat defs. Miscellaneous, we'll do unshaded for now. So common mat defs miss unshaded. Common mat defs miss unshaded. Geom set material mat. So we say mat dot set color RGBA dot green. Why not? And then add model geom. Let's see what happens. Does it blow up? It does. Oh. Everything in JMonkey Engine is a different package. Doink. Okay. No signature of method. Set color. Did I? Oh, I didn't say. Yay! Okay, so do we get a... Yep. We did. There it is. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's what I did, in fact, because I just one vertex each. Okay, I want to make them smaller. So we will float x equals I times 0.1 float, and then float y or z equals j times 0.01, and then we do x, z, and we do another one that's just a little above it. So we have these little, there we go. That's funny that it looks like there's bumps and stuff, but there's not. Okay, and then we can even do better. We can say geom center. Doink. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so that is the it's a flat version of the data that's already generated. And so I'm going to give it elevation and color. And so we will take the center tile, def data equals center tile dot tile subdectile data, and so let's do elevation first. And so we will say float y equals data dot get elevation I comma j times 0.1, and I have to cast that to float. And then we add y in here. And then we say y plus 0.1 f, or we could just say 0 and use y here. And then we get like this, oh yeah, yuck. So that's very spiky. We probably need to lower. So yeah, because each of these samples represents, 16K divided by, I think I already have a calculator open, it's just off the screen, yeah. So, 16,384 divided by 128 is 128. Yeah, imagine that. So we actually want to say divided by 128 f, or 0.0 times 0.1. There we go. Now everything is to scale. Right. And probably, that's interesting. So I think it's actually going to put the land masses right above this. I think sea level is the grid. Can't be sure, but I think so. Now we want to color things differently based on where they are. Which means we're going to need a color buffer. And we're going to want to do similar thing here, but we're going to say colors, color RGBA, and then I think there's one of those. Well, we're going to find out. And so we can say color, I think 4. Yep, it let me do it. So let's say if, well, first let's make everything below 0, below sea level. If y is less than, let's get elevation on its own. Short h equals h. H is less than 128 because that's sea level. And colors dot add color RGB blue twice. This will do green. Probably I could set the color once and add it twice anyway. What else do I need? I think I need to say use vertex color true. It's going to go plain because it's probably just vertex color. Yeah, so this is another inconsistency. Yeah. Yep, so now we've got land masses. Although it's weirdly black instead of green for the So something's still not right. Oh, I know why. So when you set a color on a material, it multiplies that by whatever the vertex color is. So when it multiplied green times green, we're good. We got green. When we multiply green times blue, we get black because there's nothing in common. So that's the landmass right around spawn. We can actually plot spawn as well. I've actually lost the bubble on which way is north, south, and east and west. But we might be able to look at... Did I leave that up? Yeah, so this is what around spawn looks like. Oh, no, this is a different world. That's a totally different world. So yeah, I can't tell which way is east and west and north and south here. But anyway, we've got like the basic map there. We could plot the towns where they are. Let's do that. Let's say let's make a box. Let's make it it's going to be big, about 128 times what it needs to be. And we'll actually need to do scene.shape if we want to do that. Yeah, okay, good. We're good. And then similarly, we want to steal this kind of stuff. We want our towns to be yellow, I think. And then geom move def loc equals poi dot location. Again, I can't. I am really inconsistent with how I call. Yeah, location. I need to stick with location because it's it means something specific to me. Is it going to let me multiply that by... can I divide it? Interesting. So let's say... Thanks, future Paul. Or past Paul for implementing operator overloading for vec3i. So that's nice. Unfortunately, that doesn't really help me here. Because... yeah, it does. And then I want to multiply all that times 0.1. Yes. And then geom move loc x float x float loc y float loc z. And it's going to be in the wrong place unless I stop centering this. And now towns are not here. There they are. Okay. So something isn't done correctly. Oh. These need to be poi location minus tile ID dot get world null. Oopsie. No such property tile. Okay. Def tile, no, select tile ID. We do have that. Center tile. I think I have already center loc, in fact. Center origin. There we go. We don't even have to do anything. So center origin. Blink. Ah, right. Look at that. We've got our towns plotted. Their elevation. Oh, because the boxes themselves are centered over there, so we need to move it. 0, 0.1 f, 0. Blink. There we go. Now they're sitting on the ground, whatever that might be at the place. Yep. So those are where the towns are. We could quickly confirm by loading the game, because I could capture the main map. Let's do that. Just want to confirm. Oh, interesting. It doesn't like to exit. Oh, we're already coming up on the... Anyway, we're getting close to what I wanted to do. Let me make sure we're on the right world. Show slow. Okay, so first let's capture this. Oh, I love the... I don't get sound... So I don't have speakers on my computer. So I normally don't hear the Mythruna sounds at all unless I'm playing with you guys. It's I forget the little scribbling sound. That's cool. So I have nothing planned this weekend except for working on Mythruna. So that'll be cool. If you guys are hanging out on Discord, you might see some progress posts or whatever. If you want to join Discord and you are not already a member, all you have to do is download the game, and there was a Discord link right on that splash screen. You can click that. So. Yeah, See, why we take so long when we already had a load? Because we're in the middle of a live stream, that's why. But, like, what's it doing? It's still... Yeah, it's checking for train that's already loaded. Let's go back to spawn. See, that's not too bad. At least I can move. It's not, like, overbearing. But where's the spawn tower? I bet it's on the other side of the... yeah, there it is. So I want to capture an image with me in the spawn tower. Doink, 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 doink. Right where I spawn. Okay. Map. And... joink. And there are 3 towns. But yeah, so there's 1 town here on an island. And there's 2 towns down here. Alright. Exit game. And the live stream should go back to behaving a little better. And so we'll get these up. So we have some reference. And this one is teeny tiny, so we can just kind of put it down here in the corner. And then we can come back over here and run the scripter. And we can try to find these places on our map. Okay. So I believe as long as I stay in this orientation, we should be oriented in the same rough way. Either that or it'll be completely upside down, in which I can fix it. Okay, so where... Yeah, because I can't make this look like this at all. I think... Well, for one thing, we are a much smaller area. We're going to be this little area right here is what we're looking at. And yes, it is in the same orientation. This here is the very, very bottom of this here. This landmass here is this landmass here. And man, this is actually a cool world if you guys want to try it out. The seed was 20250822. But like there's a lot of little islands and things. Yeah, and so this right here is this right here. And so our spawn is right on this mountain. And so from that, we should be centered right over about this area on the other map, which is the other one here. So, yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, but like there's this very distinctive kind of notchy looking thing right here, and that's this thing right up here. And so our spawn is right here, and I would have expected a town down here, and there's another town. There's another 2 towns down here, 1, 2, and that's these 2 towns, 1, 2. So yes. Now, I was going to say, with the last 7 minutes, we could try naming these towns. Let's at least try to put the current town labels up. We can see if they coincide with these, because they should always generate the same name. And we'll use that as the seed for generating the name itself. Sort of, well, its location we'll use as the seed. Import com.simsilica.lemur.star. And so I think if we make label new label def name equals blink blink new label name.name comma null. Is it gonna work? Yeah, like I don't have my log. Oh no, so that's not gonna work. Something is unhappy. Due for overlapping prototypes. Oh, yes. Can I do it without anything at all, like this? I can. Awesome. Okay. And then we need to set local scale super small, because that's going to be 14 meters tall. And then we want to set the location. Well, let's just move it the same as we did this. And then move it again, but this time 0.2. 0.2. And add model label. Hey, check it out. They're giant, right? But it's showing them. All right, we're in the right ballpark. So def pref equals label preferred size. So we want to further label move. So first of all, float scale equals 0.1, actually 0.01. Let's try that. A tenth of that. So oh no. What did I do wrong? No signature method prefer. Get prefer. I combined the property accessors with anyway. So okay. That might be too small. I don't know if you guys can see that. Also, I think we want them to always face the camera. Ooh. So then we want to drop them in a node. Label node. Add child label. And then it's the label node we want to move. And then it's the label we want to center. And then we can in fact, if we set the scale on the label node to, then we can do this in label space. Too small for stream. Well, hold on. I'm going to make them face the camera, which I think will help. And then we'll figure out. No. Attach child. So I'm going to make them face the... Oh, too big. Oh, I'm still adding the wrong thing. Twink. Okay, so they're there. And yeah, I may double them. But let me see. Let me get them to face the... Let me get them centered and facing the camera. And then we'll... minus pref.x times 0.5. Probably got to do this. Float 0. Okay, so they should be centered over the little thing. We gotta probably move them higher still. Yeah, because they're top down. Okay. So there they are. Now let's make them face the camera. Label node, add control, new billboard, control, new billboard Baggins. No, see, billboard control. First of all, I need to import this package. I think we'll try the defaults and see what that does. Okay, so now they face the camera. They're oddly outlined, though. Like, for some reason, they've got that weird... Oops. Yeah, so we can see them. But it's because of the weird transparency they've got going on. I think I actually... First of all, let's set their color to black so that it's not a problem. Less of a problem. Label set color RGBA black. There we go. Now maybe you guys can see them. I think I still might double their size. So we'll do 0.02. So there you go. Certainly you can see them now, I hope. And so we could play with the name generator. Do you guys want to spend 10 minutes seeing what name generation would look like on a map? I think it could be interesting. So let's do this. Let's say let me copy first. Where is it? Yeah, so let's spend a few minutes populated places, dir.serial. Let's do Great Britain names. Populated places. Let's just type it. gbr.serial to C colon, then go over C colon, and we will move populated places to ... model set scripter not screenshots, scripter world gen. That's good. Okay, and now we say file gen file equals new file scripter world gen, and then this big actually let's just say rename rename ... model set scripter world gen populated places to gbr.serial. Okay. Okay, so gbr.serial name generator equals name generator.load gen file. Let's see if that works. Oh no! Oh no! No such property. Oh, I'd have to import it. We actually might have to do more than that. SimSilica. So I'm making that name generator as an open source project. So it's over in the Moss stuff. Already what's there, if you are a patron, you can access that. Just let me know if you have a GitHub and you want to play with the name generator stuff. I can show you how to use it. Okay, so probably we have to exit out and change, because this will require namegen. Okay, because it's part of Moss. In fact, I may release that separately for Moss if it gets mature enough. That may be one of the first ones I break out. I just think it's really neat. I've struggled with name generation since I first wrote Mythruna. Okay, so something is unhappy, no signature method, name generated, okay, yeah, so sure. So let's comment that out for a moment. Just to get things to load and show us our thing again so we can find our stuff. Okay, we want to stay like this. Okay, I should show the spawn too, probably, to be fair. Okay, so we're back where we were. Name generator has a load method to load a serialized pre-set up training set. And it's read, of course it is. It should be load, but it's read. Those are temporary methods, so I'm going to pull the serialization protocol out into its own class so they can be properly versioned. So we say appear. Wrong file. It's like, where's all my stuff? Okay, so it's read. All right, we can read it. Okay. Now, what we want to do is turn the location into a seed. So first of all, let's get the base seed from the world. And what is that? I think it's just, well, let's just see. World, let me guess. World manager, world seed. It is not. What about info seed? It is. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. And so then here we will say def gen name equals, so first of all, def local seed equals, what do I want to do here? I think I want to say let's say column ID from world void out location dot get ID. Yeah, okay. And so then random rand equals new random local seed gen name equals name generator dot, and I can't remember the name of the method, but it's something like generate word probably, or generate phrase. Generate word. And so, which is not really correct. So generate word. I think we want them to be at least 4 long and not longer than 10. But we can tweak that. And then we want to say cluster 2 words. And then in here, we'll say gen name. Doink. And now, ooh, people they have places. Repal, Kerbade, Roth, Hilling, Lacetin, Rabo, Glachar, Portland. So yeah, we've got random names for our, I can do like this and get it out of the way. Random names for the towns. So the thing is, like, in the final version, I want to, when towns are near large bodies of water, I want to have randomly generated port-sounding names. You know, so it might include the word ocean or port or seaside or, you know, different things. If it's near a forest, it might be named after the forest. But in general, this is kind of cool. We can real quickly let's copy over. So let's do the India place names, right? To c:colon ind dot txt ind dot serial serial c:colon move ind dot serial dot backslash model set scripter world gen. That's it. That's where I want to put it. Okay. And so, like, say you had name generator 1, and name generator 2, which was the ones trained on some other language. And let me think. So let's say whatever half of this is, right? So if poi.loc.x is greater than center origin dot x plus 8192, then we'll use those, else we'll use, and I know I have to change the name, so we'll use name generator 2 if it's on the east side of the map, and name generator 1 if it's on the west side of the map. See if that works. Nope, something complained. No such property loc. Oh. 131. Oh, location. There. Okay, so you get one style of name over here, and another style of name over here, right? And so you could see, and I could set it. I could base it by region. You know, like a land region itself. You know, versus being across the ocean. There's all kinds of ways I could queue up those different generators, or let's make it even different. Actually, here we'll do like a double whammy. Copy I think Japan is the other one I did. Yeah, and that's got a really distinct. Move it to .mile set. Oops. Scripter world gen. Okay, so we'll have 3 of them. So this will be the JPN ones, and so if it's greater than that, and if poi location dot y or z rather is greater than center dot z plus blah blah blah, then we'll use that one. Else we'll use the Japanese one. And so we should get, ooh, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Did I mess something up? Let's say, let me just debug this real quick. So that one should be GBR, or let's call it Gen 1, Gen 2, or Gen 3, Gen 2. Okay, so my math is wrong somehow. Poi location.z is greater than center or... Oh. That's not right. Oh, maybe that is right, in fact. Then, yeah, so let's log center origin and poi location. So center, yeah. So that one should have been using poi location.z is greater than center location.z center origin.z plus 8192. So this should have been greater than 8192. Oh. Location.z and should be greater than 8192. Okay, so that's why. Yeah. So then there. So which ones are less? That's what we need to look at. 8192, 8192. So that's huge. 7800. This one should have been a should not have been greater than. So there should have been at least one. Oh yeah, Gen 2, Gen 3. Okay, it's working. It's just maybe my dividing line isn't correct. Oh no, it's this dividing line that's not correct. So this is like the problem is like this is the halfway point, and so this is the only actual one that's above that halfway line, or below rather. So if we wanted to lower this, I think, yeah. No, we gotta raise it. That's what it is. Yeah. So now, all of these guys are using the Japanese-based generator. We can see them a little better, and so we got Shima and Somifu and Ikancho. I don't know. I'm probably bastardizing the pronunciations of these fake words. But we can go back to taking these out, so we can just see the raw names. So you can see they've got like different styles for different areas of the world, which I think is kind of cool. And now I have a test bed for playing with where I can put progress. So I'm like, yeah, so I would like to cut a release after Labor Day weekend, because then my next push is going to be for Halloween, and I really want dungeons with creatures in them. Even if we can't kill them, I want dungeons with creatures in them for Halloween, because I'd like to be able to create some cool dungeons for us to explore with like actual creatures in them and stuff. So we'll see. But so I got to get that pathfinding and NPC stuff worked out a little bit for that. Anyway, I think this is a good place to stop. We're on the cusp of some cool stuff. Not quite there yet, but we're getting there. So thanks for joining. I don't know how many people are still on. Let me see what YouTube says. So it says 6 people are... Well, for the 6 of you who've stuck around, thanks. I appreciate you hanging out. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do the thanks screen. So thanks for joining. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hope you have a productive week on any creative projects you're working on. Hang out on Discord with me this weekend if you want to hear about progress as I do cool things. I'll probably post some screenshots and whatnot. Man, that music's loud. I hope you can hear me. And so I think that's it. Thanks, guys.